Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, the lions have, well, maybe you can't see from there, I've moved the vehicle around, so we're actually in the same place. The lions have not moved. You can see them, one youngster there, looks to be about 18 months, maybe 13, 14 months old, is doing some cleaning there of her friends. It's also just reaffirming social bonds and just creating cohesion in the pride, which is obviously very helpful if they're hunting or if they're trying to defend a territory. Lovely light coming through now onto them. And while that might look quite gentle, if that tongue was to scrape over the skin of your arm, for example, it would probably take off quite a substantial layer. It would be like grinding your arm against a tar road. Now that's probably about an 18-month-old. You saw the little pink nose there. The nose will go completely black normally by 6 years. So it's quite a nice way to age them. Also see quite nicely there, just catching the light, that stripe of white underneath the lion's eyes. A lot of nocturnal animals have some form of white marking on the face, which just helps reflect light into their eyes, we think. I mean, none of these things have been proven beyond a doubt, but that's the most plausible explanation for that white stripe there under the eyes, is that it reflects light into the eyes, and that helps obviously if you are mostly active in the dark. Quite apart from the fact that lions are possibly just lazy, which is not a very sort of biological explanation for why they sleep too much, or so much, not necessarily too much. A possible explanation for their lack of sort of explosive energy is that their diet is basically entirely protein-based, much like your house cats, or except if you feed a commercial food to your house cat, there'll be quite a lot of carbohydrate in it. But on a protein-driven diet like this, it's quite difficult for the body to manufacture energy. So while carbohydrates are certainly not the only way to get energy, fat is the other major way. The savanna antelope that we get out here, and in fact any of the animals out here, don't tend to lay down fat like, say, a cow would, which are often, grain-fed before slaughter. These animals, the antelope here and the buffalo and the giraffe, are very seldom have any fat on their bodies at all. And so when these lions feed on them, they're eating almost a diet entirely based in protein, and that's what their digestive systems are set up to do. And so for them not to sleep as much as they do is really quite difficult. You'll find that the carbohydrate-based animals, so the herbivores and the seed-eaters, the antelope, the squirrels, those sorts of animals tend to be, and the omnivores, tend to be a lot more active than the carnivores do. We've got a question from Donna in Niagara Falls in Canada. Hello, Donna. Probably a bit warmer here than where you are, although you're going into summer. Welcome. A question about sort of predator hierarchy. Are there any predators that lions need to watch out for? The answer is absolutely yes, other than other lions. Hyenas are the major sort of carnivore enemy of lions. There's a very sort of distinct predator hierarchy in these areas, and at the top of that hierarchy is lions, but sometimes the hyenas will pip the lions from the top of that predator hierarchy, and that is based generally on numbers. So I think the ratio, if I'm not mistaken, is about 3 or 4 adult hyenas to a lioness. Once the numbers are tipped in that sort of scale of 3 to 1, or over the ratio of 3 to 1, then hyenas will dominate and lions will have to watch out. A male lion, however, fully grown adult male lion, only really has other male lions to worry about. Virginia from Kentucky, as opposed to Kentucky from Virginia. A question about whether lions are subject to being endangered. I'm going to assume that you mean that as a species. If that's not the case, just send through another question and I'll try and answer it for you. Lions are certainly threatened. They're not on the red data list as endangered just yet, but they are threatened. There are only about, we're not sure, but we think about 20,000 left in the world. Now, when you think of 20,000 sounds like quite a lot, but not when you think about, say, a suburb of Los Angeles or a suburb of London, which would have sometimes in excess of 200,000 people in it. And so in the entire world, we've only got about probably 20,000 left of these lions. So although they're not classified on the red data list as endangered yet, they are certainly threatened, and their numbers are dwindling. And it's certainly because they're an apex predator, fluctuations in their numbers create far greater ructions in the ecology of areas than some of the other less keystone species. So it's what we term keystone species, which means that should population numbers of lions collapse, there will be enormous other changes in all the other ecological dynamics of an area. Another keystone species, for example, is something like an elephant. To know if the lions are lying together because it's chilly or because or for social bonding reasons. It's not actually cold anymore at all. So no, they're definitely not lying together because of the temperature. The lions will normally lie in close proximity like this for social bonding, and even if it's really hot, they tend to be close by. If it gets very hot, they might split apart a bit, but often after a night out, sort of patrolling or hunting, they will lie together like this for a while. Minjani Bob. Ninga charge tingalatahin. Ninga charge tingalatahin. Gloria and Terry would like to know how many lions there are here. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that little sort of pile you've got to the right of your picture, and then to the left there are another 2 as far as I can tell. So it looks like 7 sort of members of the pride, and then the 1 male, who I think, as we discussed, that should be correct for the Nkuhumas pride, if I'm understanding the helpful viewers from this morning.
You sleep 18 hours a day and everyone should sleep.
Good. I've got a question from Jonathan in Australia, just trying to figure out what time of the day he is sitting at. He's probably sitting down to his afternoon cup of tea, depending on where he lives. Jonathan, the coalitions in this area, he wants to know about coalitions and their sizes in this particular area and why they're so large. They're not always large. Certainly in the last few years in the Sabi Sands there have been coalitions of sort of in 4 or 5 or 6 males. I think it's very much a very good question, but I think there's a lot of sort of random factor involved, so I'm not sure that it's necessarily a rule for this area. You'll probably find it has quite a lot to do with what they're hunting as youngsters. So as youngsters, young male lions will often hunt bigger prey like buffalo, and so a larger coalition makes that job a lot easier. It also makes it easier to take a territory. But what often happens with those large coalitions is that they split and fragment once the territory's been taken. Ooh, look at that beautiful light on the lioness as she rolls over. So, Jonathan, what will happen is that if a coalition of 6 people, 6 lions come into an area, they will dominate, say, the pride territories of 4 or 5 prides, but to maintain the cohesion of the 6 in the coalition over those 4 or 5 territories is almost impossible, because the amount of space that they have to patrol is so huge. So what will often happen then is that the coalition will split and into, say, 2 and 4 or 3 and 3, and when they meet up they'll be friendly, but they will spend less and less time with each other. The territory will almost be split between them, and that makes it a lot easier then for newer coalitions to come in and displace the existing ones. I hope that makes some sense. I'm not sure what you guys would like to do. I don't think these lions are going to be doing anything else for the rest of the day. And So I would suggest that we move on and see what else we can find. But if you'd like to stay with them, let us know. We did have a bit of Twitter banter, apparently, looking for a suitable collective noun for lions lying on the ground like that. And the consensus seems to be a regular carpet of lions, which I think is pretty good. So let us know if you'd like to stay or go. Remember, you can send through your questions or comments or insults to the new presenter at questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag on Twitter, #SafariLive. Donna from Maine would like to know what the difference between a coalition and a bachelor herd is. Donna, biologically, we tend to use the term herd for non-carnivorous animals, mainly for antelope and grazers. And a coalition is normally only used for male predators. So you have a coalition of lions, and sometimes a coalition of male cheetah will form. Those are the only two that I know of where we'd use the term coalition. But essentially you wouldn't call a group of male lions a bachelor herd of lions, but you would use that term for the herbivore, so bachelor herd of impala or bachelor herd of kudu. I hope that answers your question, Donna. Seems to be that we move on and see what else we can find. Mark at the moment has found some other little carnivores, and we're going to cross to him while Brian and I go off and see what else we can find.